Please pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the
United States of
America and to the republic
and the republic
for
for
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
under God,
nation,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty
and
and
justice
justice for all.
There we go. Okay. First on the agenda, public comment. Dr. Wiles, you said nobody signed up. For Linda, did anybody sign up in the last few minutes?
We did not have any emails.
No. Thank you. Next on the agenda, budget development. Dr. Wiles.
So just a couple things about the budget, and then we can open it to questions. First, I just want to let everyone know that we opened up the thought exchange following the budget workshop on Thursday, and it's available right from the front homepage of the school district. If you go down to the bottom, it says we want to hear from you about the 2021 budget. We've had about 170 people participate. So I really encourage people to go there and to read thoughts and add thoughts and star thoughts. We're going to leave it open until April 24th, and we'll have Amy Perrott send periodical reminders to everybody to go in, because you can go in as many times as you want and see the ideas and star them and add your voice to those comments. The other thing I wanted to mention about the budget is timing. We really do not have a deadline yet for the completion of our budget, given the kind of the directive that the vote won't happen before June 1st, but we don't know how much after that. So all of those interim deadlines that we're always racing to meet are kind of on hold. So for example, we were supposed to adopt the budget tonight, and obviously we're not doing that. The other thing I would just say is that the advice we're getting from all of the kind of experts in the field is that we should adopt our budget as late as we possibly can, so that we have the best information we possibly can get before we're making any decisions about what we include or what we may not include. So I'll leave it at that, and if there are questions or comments or thoughts.
Marie, will we have time when we know when the very last day is? Are we going to have a special meeting or anything? Do we know? I mean, are we going to have, I appreciate working right up until the end, but then we have to have a meeting called or something, don't we?
Possibly we would have to do a special meeting, but I really don't know the answer to that. I think relatively soon, which may be a week to 2 weeks, we'll have a timeline, and it very well might line up with our existing meeting schedule. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that goes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
And what about candidates for the board? Will we know when we have to have petitions in, or aren't we going to do it? Or I know it's probably something you don't know, but being one of those people, at least check.
So still no word on the timeline around the board elections either, or even the means of the board elections at this point. I just know that the School Boards Association has really strongly recommended that people aren't going door to door to collect petitions. But I participated with about 1,200 people a few Saturdays ago, or a couple Saturdays ago, in a webinar that NISBA hosted, and Jay Barona basically said they didn't necessarily have legal guidance on that. That was really their goodwill to protecting the health and well-being of our board members and our prospective board members. So, the governor issued a new executive order today, but there was no mention of this in it. So it's yet another wait and see.
What was his executive order, if I can ask?
It was several pages long, and I would be
Okay.
untruthful if I said I read and comprehended all of it, because I didn't.
Basically, it covered all the things he had talked about all week on his conferences, press conferences.
Any more questions for me or Neil on the budget? Okay. We'll have plenty more opportunities to talk about it if there are, and we'll start reporting out about the thought exchange soon. It's just getting rolling right now. So we'll keep you in tune with that one. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wiles. Next on the agenda, consent items. We have the minutes from the March 24th and the April 2nd, 2020 board meetings. We have the CPSE and CSE recommendations and the personnel action from April 7th. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Barbara.
Barb, second.
Second.
Rebecca,
Second,
any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is Ben on here? Ben, are you there?
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Oh,
Sorry.
I couldn't see you. Okay. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Agenda information items, curriculum instruction, Dr. Simpson.
Thank you, Seema. I'd like to start with a hearty congratulations to Amal Kumar from grade 11, who participated in the virtual Greater Capital Region Science and Engineering Fair on March 21st. There were more than 100 participants in the senior division, and I'm happy to share that Amal was one of the grand prize winners, and he will be participating in the Science Teachers Association of New York State Science Congress to be held in June. And he also won the Jane Golub Foundation Award. So congratulations, Amal. This is a very prestigious recognition, and we wish you well going forward.
Thank you, Damian. Next on the agenda, superintendent information, Dr. Wiles.
Thank you. I just have one item this evening, and this is our school start time update. I talked a little bit about this on Thursday at our workshop as well, but I just wanted to remind the community and everyone that during this period of school closure, the transportation department has had the time to do a detailed analysis of the bus routes associated with the proposed change in start times for elementary, middle, and high school. And those proposed start times are in the chart that I have included there. So this analysis has uncovered some challenges that we need to work to resolve, including some runs that can't meet times at the end of the day and buses that might be filled beyond the capacity. There's also some unknowns to consider, such as the impact of traffic volume in and out of the high school. So tomorrow, Neil and Danielle Poirier, Michael Gannon, and myself have a conference call with school bus consultants. So we're going to discuss some of those concerns and some possible modifications that we might make in order to resolve those problems, because obviously we want our students at school on time, and we don't want overloaded buses. And then strategies for engaging the larger school community in this discussion about changing school times are also being considered. The communications committee is meeting tomorrow, and this is one of our topics on that agenda.
Any questions?
There was some feedback already, Seema, on the thought exchange about school start time. Both some very positive feedback and some not as positive.
I think the last time I checked the thought exchange, I don't think it had that many responses, but it sounds like there's even more. So I should probably go back and check. And it's nice that it's going to be open till April 24th, so people can keep updating.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item, board president information. I just have one item on the agenda. This is for the 2020-2021 BOCES budget and election. So it will still take place on April 22nd at 8 in the morning. It's also for 4 seats for their seats for the BOCES board. And this is the special meeting that takes place at 8 a.m. And we're going to be doing this over conference call and it's recorded. So everybody should make sure you have that on your calendar, April 22nd, Wednesday, 8 a.m.
Seema, I will not be able to make that meeting.
I think we'll still have 6, so that should be okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Next one is the
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is that 8 o'clock time set in stone, seeing that most people are at home now? We did it for the 8 o'clock time so people could get to work, but can that be moved up to 9 or 10 o'clock if it's good for everybody else?
Speaking just for me, Barb, either beginning of the day or end of the day is better, but that's just me.
Oh, okay, so 8 o'clock is good for you.
It is.
I'm good with
Okay.
I'm good with keeping it at 8 o'clock too. It happens to fit in our schedule.
Okay, good.
Item first, school business management.
Thank you, Seema. I just have one item this evening, and I'm pleased to report the acceptance of a donation of a new laptop from Mr. Fred Schwaff.
Accept the donation.
So,
Accept the donation. Oh, Ben, second.
Second.
Gloria, any questions? Thank you. The donation, we appreciate it.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
I
7-0. Next on the agenda, superintendent in action, Dr. Wiles. You there, Dr.
She's muted. Marie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I only have one item this evening in action, and it is a contract ratification. And it reads, be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the Superintendent of Schools, Marie Wiles, PhD, to execute the proposed memorandum of agreement between the Guilderland Central School District and the Guilderland Employees Association for the duration of the collective bargaining agreement, which begins July 1st, 2020, and ends on June 30th, 2023.
To accept the proposal. Almost.
Barbara,
Need one more person, a second.
Second.
Gloria, thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
aye.
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 Passes 7-0. Next on the agenda, board committee report. We'll start with communications.
we met, I think just last week, right?
Yes, on Monday, I think. I have lost track of days, but it was
Right, all
for the
days are missing,
workshop.
but, anyway, we discussed budget outreach, school start time, the same topics that we've been working on as a board, and ways that we could still engage as a community despite the fact that we're all quarantined in our houses. We have a meeting tomorrow, like Marie mentioned, at 4 p.m. We're meeting pretty regularly to keep on top of what's working and what's not, in terms of staying in touch with everybody through these trying times.
Business practices.
We have not met and do not have a meeting scheduled, as far as I know.
audit.
Seema, we're having trouble hearing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can now.
I don't know if somebody's driving or something. It sounds like there's a lot of noise in the background, but maybe if you're not speaking, if you mute yourself, that would be helpful. Thank you. Next is audit.
We meet tomorrow morning, but we haven't met since the last meeting.
Thank you, Rebecca. And last, policy.
We haven't met since the last meeting, but we have a doodle poll out for an upcoming meeting.
Thank you, Barb. Next is public comment 2. Linda, did anybody else email during the meeting for public comment?
No.
Okay, thank you. And last, board issues, ideas, and sharing. Does anybody have anything to share?
We got a letter about a parent about the gymnastics coaching. And I just wondered if Regan or somebody or you had reached out and just at least I saw Gloria let him know, but if anybody else had, any of the leaders had sent anything to him.
I have not yet, but plan to. And I don't know if Regan's with us. Regan, do you want to jump in? I know you've been doing a little homework on this.
Yeah, I have not either, but I have his email printed out and going through the items in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the email that he sent pretty much laid out the reasoning behind his questions, and I thought it was helpful, really clarified, because I don't know anything about the gymnastics team except gymnastics, so that was helpful to also point out that it's an all-female team, and that brings up a good point in terms of why we focus on certain teams. So I will also respond to Todd. Any other questions or comments or sharing?
Seema, if I could just speak for a couple of minutes on that topic.
Sure.
At the last meeting, in no way was I implying that we should eliminate the gymnastics team. My concern was the safety issue. And for that $3,500, I'm sure that there are other things that we could find in the budget to keep that team intact. What he pointed out is that, if we drop out, then there's only 3 teams left in the whole suburban council. And these kids have, worked their tails off for years and years. And, I would really like to have that position restored. After hearing from Regan and then hearing from the parent, it doesn't appear that a volunteer could really fill the safety role that I was concerned about.
Thank you, Barb. Any other issues or sharing?
Do I remember correctly? We also, I don't have my email up, but we received a letter recently from a parent in the community regarding some diversity issues. And I had asked, and it may not be on the next communications meeting, but I think that's something that the communications committee can begin discussions about, some of the ideas that parent brought forth, and just to kind of encourage people to give us the ideas they have so that we can move in a positive direction.
Thank you, Gloria. So you'll put that on a future communications committee agenda?
It's actually on tomorrow's agenda.
Oh,
good. Thank you.
Any other ideas or sharing? Okay. If we're all set, then can I have a motion to adjourn? Gloria?
Second.
Second, Barb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7-0. Thank you, everybody.